The Land Before Time, the illustrated story. Chapter 7, The Oasis. The group tried to run away, but Sharptooth was too quick. Whichever way they dodged, he cut them off. "Run!" yelled Littlefoot. "I'll keep him busy." Petrie on Littlefoot's head was holding fast to the tree star. He was bug-eyed with terror. "Wait until," he cried. But Littlefoot was already trying to draw attention to himself. It worked. Sharptooth came after him and Petrie. Sarah darted into a small opening between some rocks, with Ducky and Spike close behind. Littlefoot and Petrie were only inches in front of the monster and could feel his hot breath on their necks. "Now I wish I fly," yelled Petrie, as Littlefoot headed for the opening. Sharptooth took a vicious swipe at them. In panic, Petrie dropped the tree star, and Sharptooth crushed it with his massive feet. Oh dear, Littlefoot lost his prized possession. Just as Littlefoot and Petrie squeezed between the rocks, Sharptooth plowed into the opening with tremendous force. But it was too small for him. He clawed at the entrance in a bellowing rage. When the group huddled together again, Sarah turned to Littlefoot and cried, "I told you Sharptooth was still alive, you stupid long-neck! You nearly got us killed!" "I'm sorry," said Littlefoot, "but we're safe now." "Nobody's safe with you," said Sarah. "It's a good thing I was around to save us." "Brave Sarah," cried Ducky. "You ran first to show us the way." Sarah wasn't sure what Ducky meant by that, but before she could answer, Littlefoot pointed and cried, "It's the rock that looks like a long neck. That's the way to the Great Valley." As the group trudged on, they came to mountains that were smoking. Littlefoot said, "See, those are the mountains that burn. We are going the right way to the Great Valley for sure." "Mountains that burn? Oh, we know what those are. They're volcanoes." But the way through them was hard. Hot burning embers rained down on them from the erupting mountains, and they found themselves walking through deep ash. A long time passed, and the brave little group was getting more tired and hungry with each plodding step. At last they left the mountains behind. Now they were in a hot, sandy desert. "I'm tired," moaned Petrie. "Way to Great Valley, to Great Way." "We're almost there," cried Littlefoot. "Don't give up now." Suddenly, Spike became alert and sniffed the air. "He must smell food," said Ducky. "It's the only thing that would wake him up." Spike snorted and galloped over a small hill. The others followed, staring in wonder at what they saw. There was a small spring of water surrounded by a group of thin gray noses. Near the spring, but standing apart, was a cluster of trees full of delicious-looking green food surrounded by a group of fat crown heads. Littlefoot and the others raced down the hill, yelling and cheering. But when they got closer, And they saw the hard looks on everybody's face, and the tears died in their throats. A stern-looking Grano came up to them and said, "What do you want, little ones?" "Food," Littlefoot cried. "And water." Yep, Ducky added. A fat crowned head waddled up and said, "No food. You may drink," said the Grano to Ducky. "You are big mouth like us, but," he continued, "no food for them. No water for them." "But they need drinks too," Ducky protested. "They're my friends." "These are your friends?" said the fat crowned head. "A three-horn, a long neck, a spike tail, and," he pointed to Petrie, "and whatever that is?" "Yes, run away quickly," said the Granos to Ducky, "before spikes and horns grow on you." Sarah couldn't believe what she was hearing. She had never realized before how foolish it was to dislike someone just because they looked different. It's true. Just because someone's different doesn't mean you have to dislike them. We have to appreciate our differences, because our differences are what makes us all special. Anyway, all she knew now was that they all needed food and water. She reared up her head and said firmly, "We're hungry, all of us." The thin Grano stared at her. "And so are we," he finally said. "Then why don't you share the water with the crown heads?" said Littlefoot. Then they could share the food with you. Then you wouldn't be hungry and they wouldn't be thirsty. No, said the crown head and the Granos at the same time. "Well, if you don't change your mind, all of you will die," said Sarah. "Why don't you like each other anyway?" Ducky added. "The crownheads are from the other side of the swamp," said the Granos. "I don't see anything wrong with that," said Littlefoot. "This is silly. I'm hungry," cried Sarah. "Let's go somewhere else to look for food together." And with that, the small group marched away. The Granos shook his head. "I'll never understand the young ones," he said. The crowned head nodded and went back to guard the food. A while later, Littlefoot, Sarah, and the rest of the group were at the bottom of a huge sandhill, panting with hunger and thirst. The brave words that they had uttered before seemed to come back to mock them now. They were ready to give up. All but Littlefoot. "After what we've been through together, you can't quit now," he pleaded. Petrie whistled. "Good time to quit." "Yes, it is too hard, too far. I cannot go to the Great Valley." Nope, Ducky said, sighing. "But what if the Great Valley is just over the top of this hill?" said Littlefoot. "What if the Great Valley is nowhere?" cried Sarah. "I've never seen it. Have you?" "I've seen it with my heart," answered Littlefoot, and he started to climb up the hill. The others shrugged and followed wearily. "You see, I told you, you stupid flathead," said Sarah when they reached the top. "There's nothing but a big crater here." She was about to go back down the hill, but the sand underneath her suddenly gave way, and she and the other slid to the bottom of the rocky crater. When they shakily got to their feet, they looked around. They saw two distant paths leading out of the crater. One sloped gently through a notch in the crater wall. The other was a narrow trail, straight up, that looked hard and dangerous to climb. Littlefoot headed for the narrow trail. "This way," he yelled. But Sarah didn't want to take the hard path. She saw other animals' footprints going up the easy path, and she wanted to take it. "But we have to keep on following the bright circle." "There, up that narrow trail," said Littlefoot. "Well, you go up there then," Sarah said angrily. Ducky and Spike followed Sarah, leaving Petrie alone with Littlefoot. "I think maybe time to go no way," Petrie whistled. Littlefoot angrily tossed Petrie off his head. "You're the flyer," he said. "Fly off and find the valley yourself. I don't need you. I don't need any of you." He turned the direction of the bright circle in the hard path. Ducky, Petrie, and Spike waved a tearful goodbye and turned to follow Sarah. Stay tuned for Chapter 8. Peace out and see you next time. Bye.